Yeah, do all that because the stream is preparing right now.
Meeting
So,
is now streaming live.
and in like 10 seconds, don't say nothing crazy.
Well, it's already saying that we're streaming live.
Yeah. It's
All
already
right.
streaming. Get out of there. So
So we're here. That's it. You know, we're live.
yeah, I mean, we already live.
We are live. We are
Apologetic.
live. This is
Can't get us out of this game.
Sports Gaming Anonymous coming to you live to address some of the issues out here happening in the world right now. The boycotts happening around all these different sports. The NBA, MLB has followed suit.
WNBA.
Correct. Again, you know,
MLB,
just a quick
MLS.
just a quick roll call for everybody. Of course, I'm Flash, aka Ree. With me, I got Dash, my partner in crime on the Flash and Dash podcast. Dash, what's up?
What's going on?
Man, all right. I got my man Aaron out here, the fastest man you never heard of. What's up?
My name is Slajo, by the way.
Hey, we'll take all whatever you want to be. That's what you're gonna be. And of course, Stray Wingate, the best producer in the business. What's up? How you feeling?
Ooh, wish I could say I'm feeling better.
Hey man, it is what it is. We'll get through this one step at a time. So tell me, first let's understand the magnitude of things going on right now. The shooting happening, you know, in Wisconsin. Excuse me. And the leagues following suit. The NBA kind of taking the first step with, I think it was the Bucks, right? The Bucks and the Magic.
NBA per usual.
Yeah, deciding to boycott as a result of, you know, everything going on, and everybody else kind of following suit. You know, I'll let whoever wants to jump in and kick it off while I gather my thoughts on these things. You know,
I'll jump in first.
Go ahead.
First of all, rest in peace, Jacob Blake. We all
Correct.
You know, feel that way.
Right off the top.
But before giving the NBA credit,
Wait a minute. Hold up. Time out.
Magic-
Jacob Blake not gone. Jacob Blake not gone.
Yeah, he's just paralyzed.
Oh, I said the
Oh,
wrong
okay.
name. He's paralyzed.
Right.
I knew that too. I don't know why I say rest in peace. Just that's sad that it's come to that. But
We
yeah,
assume
he's
they
paralyzed. Not rest in
Correct.
peace, Jacob Blake. But anyway, so before giving credit to the NBA, George Hill, I think he needs the most credit out of this situation, the people in the bubble, because he said after their last game that after the shooting, basically, that he's probably not going to play anymore and things like that. And I played daily fantasy basketball, and before the boycott even happened, he was already inactive, so he was already not playing. So credit to the Bucks players for following suit, even though I'm sure some of them felt that way and things like that. But he was one of the driving forces, you know, starting the whole boycott. Just had to get that clear. Secondly, shout out to the Magic because they wanted to play the game. They weren't going to boycott at first, and when they saw the Bucks didn't show up, they didn't show up as well. So that's another shout out to them, everybody on their team. Anybody else can jump in now.
So what I have to say about this is I think it's great. And Stephen A. Smith actually said this on I think he posted on Instagram and Twitter. But this situation would have been terrible if the Bucks were the only team to boycott. So like if the Bucks had decided to boycott and, you know, the Magic show up and they're like, hey, well, we're here, so we're going to count this as a forfeit. And all the other teams showed up, then that, you know, this movement loses, you know, that energy. But the solidarity that the NBA has had with every single team that was supposed to play today saying, no, we ain't playing before the NBA even came out and said, you know, that they're postponing all the games. And they can call it postponement all they want. The players, they're boycotting. We don't know how long it's going to be, but the players are boycotting. And then all the games that are supposed to be played tomorrow, you know, those teams have pretty much said we're pretty much going to boycott as well. Nothing official, but they're pretty much going to boycott. Then they have the WNBA, the MLS, the MLB, like all of them. And I understand some MLB games were already playing like while this was happening. But any games that were starting after this has happened, they all those players, they're boycotting, things like that. So I think that's a great, you know, a great show of faith, you know, in this movement, because it basically lets people know that we understand that sports, it's entertainment for us as fans, and, you know, we're all athletes. You know, we get it. We all love playing, you know, the sport that we play. You know, we We live it, we dream it, we bleed it, all that kind of stuff. But to put it to the side and be like, look, I'm not playing. I'm not running up and down this field. I'm not running around this track. I'm not running around these bases. Like, to say all that because we understand that human rights is more important than entertainment. And that's basically what this movement is showing. So all these people that are getting on social media saying that I don't get why these players are boycotting, they don't understand, or there's nothing they can do, this ain't going to do anything. This is what it's showing. It's showing that them as players, granted, the money they make doesn't matter. It's the fact that because they make that much money and they know that the decision that they made today is going to cost them money in the future, but they still did it because human rights matters more than our entertainment. So I felt like that was a great move to have everybody follow suit and not just have one team stand alone.
Absolutely, 100% agree. Go ahead, Dash. I feel like you was going in. Go ahead.
No, the only thing I was gonna say is really to talk about why we're even here at all, having this conversation in regards to the group and the culture that we're trying to create and the space to kind of enjoy yourself, be yourself as an internet troll or whomever you want to wake up to be in the morning. When you engage with us and this community that we're building, to have that division is something that works completely against everything that we're trying to work towards. And for it to just have one baseline, because we go wild in that group or this group that we have, say a lot of things, a lot of smack is talk, all those great things that great qualities that this group has. But at the end of the day, we draw certain lines, and this is by no means a political issue.
No.
And this is very much so a systemic problem that we kind of have to get out in front of as not only administrators of a community, but just people that want their face out and their voice out amongst the masses. Because we're not, as much as this is for fun, it's for us at the end of the day, and anybody that wants to be a part of us to join with us in this community. And so, to have that in the group and to have our group where it is, this is us coming together to have a conversation and an open dialogue to kind of really set the tone for what is and what isn't, going to fly in this group. And that culture is already pretty much there and it's strong. Yeah. And everybody kind of knows already. But I'm glad we're having this conversation.
Correct. And that those are the things that we also try to avoid, where people are always going to try to change the narrative, right? Like make it a political thing, or it's a this or it's a that, and it always strives so far from the issue, whether it be, talking about kneeling for the flag, and then they always want to bring up the military and this, that, and the third, and they always want to use the military as a scapegoat, which is such a cop out, because anybody who's a serviceman or a servicewoman or has family and they know what the deal is and need to understand that these rights that we enjoy are what our people in arms fight for. Literally, it's not, and to even fathom otherwise is you're completely missing the point. You're missing the notion. And it's, again, they always try to use it as a scapegoat, and that's very unfortunate. But with these issues, again, it's always a narrative. It's always, this is some of the things I've seen today in comments is very akin to shut up and dribble, right? Like what old girl told LeBron. And I'm not even going to, she doesn't deserve to have her name spoken in these channels. So I'm not even going to speak her name.
Get no views off us.
So correct. So, but it's very much like that. You see comments where people are just like, oh, they're getting paid to do a job, make them go out and do their job. Like, look, that's, again, trying to change the narrative. That's not what this is about. This is about people standing up and taking a stand for using their platform to say, okay, this is not okay. And y'all need to understand why it's not okay. But again, people that are afforded certain privileges in this life in these United States, they don't quite understand that. People that didn't grow up a certain way, They don't quite understand that narrative. They just don't understand. And it's unfortunate because they don't want to understand, right? They don't want to hear, they don't want to acknowledge, and they just keep burying themselves in these rabbit holes, and they just keep digging these holes. And it's like, you're not even trying to, you know what, just buy, because you don't, because you are stuck in the dirt, and they're just making it worse. And, hopefully we can get to a point where we can start to, more people are coming around, which is great, right? We still have a long way to go, but we've come a long way at the same time. um I just think that seeing more of this is great, and the fact that it wasn't just the Bucks and the Magic. It wasn't just the NBA. It wasn't just the WNBA coming to support it. It expanded. MLS, like you said, MLB. Everybody was just like, you know what? No,
And
like,
let's not forget that the Lions yesterday, or
Mhm.
at the time that you all are watching this, 2 days ago, they canceled training camp practice, and
yeah,
they put out a statement as well. So it hasn't been widespread in the NFL, but
no, and
some
of
team,
course,
at least the team that's closest, well, no, the Packers, but the Packers haven't. I don't think they've done anything yet. But Aaron Rodgers did come out and say something. But two of the teams that are closest to that area, they have done something
right,
in some type of a way.
which is good, even considering that the NFL is not even in season at the moment, right? So that says a lot in itself, especially considering that the NFL hasn't been the most united of the leagues, right? And again, I will keep praising the NBA for this, because the NBA has been that kind of league, and because the players have so much power because the way the NBA is structured. The NBA is structured the way it is, and the players have a lot of power. So if you get top players that are like, no, I'm not playing, or I'm not doing this, or again, this goes back to how things have been in free agency, over the years, and how that changed, and where players got most of the power, which is great because they're the faces of the league. Obviously, the NFL suffered with that because it's not about the players, it's about the shield, it's about the logos on the side of the helmet. Like, you don't see faces. You only know, you can walk past down the street of most NFL players and not know that they were NFL players. You just wouldn't
Right.
know. You could assume by like, dude, that dude is huge. Like, he's huge and he's in shape. He's gotta be he's gotta be an
Yeah.
athlete, right? Or maybe he got the gear on or whatever. But otherwise, you wouldn't know most of them. Aside from the top quarterbacks and skill player positions on most teams, you wouldn't be able to pick out most of these guys out of a lineup. So in the NBA, though, it's very different. You could pick guys off the bench in the NBA, like, oh yeah, that dude plays for the Clippers. Like, you
Yeah.
you would know, right? So, but again, and I'll extend this even further. I have had my ups and downs with how I've viewed LeBron James over the years, especially being a huge Jordan fan. But I give LeBron a lot of credit for being very vocal over the years for these type of things. And if he didn't know, he took the time to say, I don't know, but I'm going to educate myself and I'll come back to you on that. So I'll give him his respect and his due, because players of this day and age didn't do that. Jordan, he was very adamant about not taking stances on things and not using his
Mhm.
voice,
Yeah. He was no
not
Muhammad
speaking up.
Ali type
Correct.
deal.
He was the
Yeah.
exact opposite
Yeah.
of that.
Mhm.
And again, this is where I give LeBron a lot of credit, because he's taken up that mantle of that guy. He is that guy. He will speak on things and he will put his voice out there and say, no, we're not going to stand for this, or this is what the issue is, and I'm going to offer my support, or whatever the case may be. And, so again, shout out to him. Shout out to the NBA again in general for being, very ahead of this
Hey, shout
thing.
out to Doc Rivers as well. Like that
Mm-hmm.
was a
Mhm.
that was a powerful speech he gave after after the Clippers beat the Mavericks the other night or last night. Um, that was a very vulnerable speech that he gave, because there's one thing that kind of should open everyone's eyes to everything that's going on. Let's get something straight. We're all African American males in here. We're not, with everything going on, we are not saying that we're doing all this fighting because we want handouts, or we're doing all this fighting because we feel like we deserve something tangible. To be honest, to make up for everything that's happened to African Americans for the last 400 years, it's not there is no amount that we could say or we could come up with that could make up for everything that's happened.
There's
The
nothing
main
you can do.
Just
right.
looking for equal treatment, bro. We just trying to
All,
get
that's
there.
it.
Period.
All we're looking for is equality. Like
Not
no one
better.
is even saying with the Jacob Blake situation, no one is even saying that, oh well, the cops shouldn't have been involved. No one's saying that. What we're saying is in that situation, there was nothing that prompted 7 shots to go into his back. Now, we've seen plenty of it, and the cops, they can come out and say, and I don't know if the cops have been in the situation. I don't know if they said anything, if the precinct has put out anything. I don't know, but they can come out and say they fear for their lives or they were acting in self-defense or whatever. But the thing is, we've seen plenty of videos with non-people of color acting crazy, having weapons in their hands, going after the police and things like that, and the police are calm, or the police don't just start, laying lead into their bodies. So our thing is, why when you see us, you automatically, assume that we're going to attack you, or you see us as a weapon. Like we're just a walking weapon pretty much in your eyes. We just want to be able to walk around freely, not have any issues just because we see you around, not think, oh, they're gonna try something. And then if we do something that is against the law or something that warrants your presence, we're still gonna walk away at the end of it with our lives.
Correct.
That's the biggest thing. We just want to be treated just like everybody else. A mass murderer went into a church in my home state, killed 9 people, and then when they get them, they put a vest on him. They shield him from everybody. They take him to Burger King, get him some food, all that kind of stuff.
And went to Burger King, dog.
Like,
that shit still blow my mind.
Right.
But for us, we don't get that type of treatment. Like,
No,
and we don't. And now, when was the last time that you heard all these mass murders that have been going on and happening lately? When was the last time one of them was black?
Correct.
So last time somebody was killing somebody that was a black person was the ex-military member, the one that Dave Chappelle was talking about in his last stand-up, that was killing those cops.
Right.
And BR in Vegas.
Go ahead.
Cops that showed up out of the 7 cops, 8 cops that showed up. I didn't know, because when things like this happen, I try to stay as far away as possible, because you're just becoming numb to it at a certain point. So it's like with reading now, 1 cop fired all 7 shots.
Yeah, it was in one dude.
Didn't know that. Didn't know that. I just read that. See, and that just pissed me off even more. Like,
if you watch the video, you're gonna be even more mad. Grab your shirt while you tried to watch in the car.
I tried
he was literally
to avoid all
trying
that.
to get in the car, and they was holding his shirt.
And that's the hard thing. Like, I've seen the video,
not even really aiming, just shooting it in his back.
Of course.
Like, I've seen the video like 2-3 times, and it's terrible because I'm tired of waking up or just scrolling through social media, and boom, here's another video of a cop shooting an unarmed African American, or cops just doing something against African Americans that doesn't necessarily need to be done to them. So yeah, you get numb to seeing them, but the sad thing is we have to share them on social media for us to even get some type of point across as to what's happening. Right. So it's like a double-edged sword. We don't want to see them, but we got to put it out there.
Because I was just talking about it earlier today. Like, like for that to be recycled in the same group over and over again, like y'all gotta nobody's trying to see that, especially black people that we relate to or see ourselves in, black bodies in general, seeing them slaughtered on the internet. You graze by it thinking nothing of it, but that shit takes its toll. You graze by, you look at it like, damn, that's wild. You get a little upset, a little mad, but whatever. But you see that shit time and time and time again, to the point where literally we get on this call, Aaron's like, yo, RIP Jacob Blake. Like, it's so second nature and it's so subconscious to assume everybody is dead that gets into an encounter like this. Like, that is subconscious from seeing all of these videos all the time, people getting shot and just dead. That's literally the only baseline.
At first I was gonna be like, we need to edit that out, but then like, nah, we need to keep it. Right. That's how bad it's gotten. You need to keep it, because like you need to actually keep it.
That's natural.
Fresh off the presses, going back to the NBA, a writer from Sports Illustrated. He just was reporting about the meeting they just had like a couple minutes ago.
Mhm.
Like I'll read and I quote,
Wasn't
"In
it like the
emotional
top heads of the
discussion,
NBA or something like that?
yeah, it's basically the players spoke passionately about voting and police reform. There's a sense that some there's a sense to some that if owners don't come up with something that makes them believe staying will help move these important issues forward, the season is done." Basically saying that the players they're demanding action. They want either police reform, some type of legislative like change, or basically the season's canceled.
And see, here's the
The
funny thing.
players
Some
Kyle Korver, Lillard, Melo, LeBron, Chris Paul all spoke
Oh
at
yeah,
this
it's
meeting.
over with.
Yeah. Now here's the funny thing. A lot of people, and I was seeing it more on Twitter because I wasn't really going through the Instagram comments today. But a lot of people are like, "Man, what can the athletes do? Why are they boycotting? They can't do anything." The thing is, even though an athlete not playing, it can affect their money in the future and all that kind of stuff. Here's the thing: the athletes, they play for the owners in a sense. The owners, if the athlete themselves, and this is why it can happen in the NBA more than any other sport, except maybe soccer. But if the NBA players, if they say we ain't playing and they don't leave the locker room, they don't play anything like that, that's affecting the owner's money. So the owner's got to do something. You're not a billionaire if you don't have some type of connection to a politician or someone that sits on the board for something. So that's why this is so huge, because if the owners want their players to play, then they've got to talk to these
At the end of the
politicians.
day, I don't
They've
even
got to
think.
talk to these
But the
board of
politicians
trustees
don't
people.
care, and that's the
don't.
Like,
problem. The
don't.
owners could talk, but they don't care about that because that basketball not their money.
Correct.
It's true.
That ain't their money.
And
Not
that's
all
that's
of them, but some of them,
Yeah.
some of them are. But the
Yeah.
majority, they don't.
correct.
This
And
is
that's
like a game.
and that's also going to be a state by state case, right? Because you can't
Mhm.
federally
Mm-hmm.
do that, right?
Right.
So that's a literally state by state. You got to talk to this senator, this mayor, this governor. Like you, there's a lot of channels to go through to make those things happen. Now, I'm not saying that they can't or that they shouldn't, but that's and again, shout out to the NBA, shout out to those players standing up. And again, you see that LeBron name in there again because he's the like big time name that you would expect that if you see his name involved. What's up, C? Welcome.
What up? What up?
What up?
Um,
I was looking and I had to say something. I'm sorry, go ahead. I didn't want to interrupt.
no, man, look, you coming in hot, man. You got the floor. Go ahead.
But
Hey, you fresh off the press. What's up?
Right.
Got a hot mic.
Talk on it.
Gonna be no service.
So look,
Service. That boy driving.
Hey, that's okay. He coming in live from the phone.
I'm driving, bro. Look, so the reason these sports leagues were affected by the White House speaking out against players protesting about these issues, and the reason they have influence, it all works in concert with each other, right? So what politicians need people with money so that money can be used towards their campaign so that they can get reelected.
Right.
And this on the same side of the token, those politicians in favor, they enact policies that assist these billionaires and put more money in their pockets and so on and so forth. So it goes hand in hand, as Trump puts it, quid pro quo, right?
Right. While we're on
So-
politicians, first of all,
So
not to
the reason
stop letting all this-
the reason I'm bringing this up. The reason I'm bringing this up is because it is a literal phone call from the owners to the president for him to write an executive order that allows police reform to happen. There are 8 policies. Go look them up because I'm driving and I'm a little my blood's boiling right now to be going through everything. But the intentions of all these protests in the streets that are going on right now. There are 8 changes that are being requested for police reform in order to, reduce the violence against unarmed citizens, specifically unarmed citizens of color, which include things like a ban on no-knock policy, banning chokeholds, and things like that, basically, in order to in order to prevent these things from happening, or to at least reduce the amount of incidents, because you can't stop violence from happening when you have people walking around and, with a chip on their shoulder, not liking black people, and they got guns on their hips. You can't stop violence from happening that way. But what you can do is you can reduce the amount of cases.
Mm-hmm.
And all it would require, with the players now actually falling in line with what's going on right now, instead of just continuing to try to make their money, what players have the power to do right now is to demand that ownership put their feet on the necks of these politicians, because November is right around the corner. And if they want money to be able to keep their jobs and to be able to stay elected, it's not even about the president. It's about all these senators, and it's about all these congressmen that are about to lose their seats in the White House. And they're doing all these fancy benefit dinners, trying to raise money. And that's all these guys talk about is, what they're gonna want. And these league owners, the NFL, the NBA, the MLB, all of these team owners, they're all in on this. This is all public record. For everybody that's watching this is all public record. You can go look up your local politicians, go look up your local representative. You can look at who exactly has donated money to their campaigns. And these are the people that you need to hold responsible. It's the CEOs of these companies, the people that run these teams, that run these sports leagues. These people are throwing big money at these politicians. And in return, all they have to do is just ask for these favors. The problem is, we as black people, and I'm gonna say black people specifically, we have not put our feet on these people's necks, on the sponsors of these shows, on these networks. And the reason we don't do it is because we don't have the power to. But you know who has the power to? Athletes that play these sports. Guys like LeBron James, guys like Luka Doncic, guys like, these big stars, these Dame Lillard and
Throw Luka in there, it's wild.
Just NBA stars. Every day,
this is just comedy right now.
When they, bruh, and the whole thing is, if the players actually get together and say, yo, we want this, or we're not playing now, we're not playing next season, we're not playing till y'all make this effort, then they will do something about it.
All right, I don't want to.
Don't get no accident first.
Right before you came on, the players literally just said that. Like,
yeah,
right before you went on your spiel, they literally just left a meeting, basically saying that.
Yeah.
So,
okay.
Yeah.
Now,
so I'm not gonna say you're right.
In addition to that, so now this is something that the fans can do, because now fans are pissed off, right? Black, white, Indian, Asian, motherfucking Hispanic, Martian. No.
But fans, I see your point.
What fans are pissed off. So what fans are pissed off about is there's several different things. So fans are pissed off, one, because we don't want to have to deal with none of this shit. We don't want none of this shit to be even happening in the first place. Like, nobody wants that. Nobody wants to have to watch these videos like y'all was talking about. Nobody wants to be seeing these videos. Nobody wants police to be out in the streets murdering people. But you know what? There's another side of the fan base that's like, oh, well, I don't want to have to, deal with these issues and talk about these issues when I'm just trying to watch sports. Well, you know who you can hold responsible? When your game goes to commercial break and you see that sponsor come on the TV, stop buying those products.
Right.
Those are the products, those are the companies that you need to hold responsible. When you see now NBA on TNT brought to you by T-Mobile or one of these companies, stop buying their products. And tell these companies, if you want one of these companies, these cell phone companies or these TV companies, you see commercial for Xfinity, you call Xfinity, you tell Xfinity, listen, I'm going to switch to DirecTV. I'm going to switch to whatever company, and I'm going to just go ahead and stream. I switch to YouTube TV because Google is actually putting money into supporting Black Lives right now. I'm gonna go ahead and just move my money over to this and stop paying you until you do something about it. And you put pressure on all of these companies. It's not just the players, it's not just the owners. This is the power that fans have. You put your foot on the necks of the sponsors. You put your foot on the necks of the banks that are funding all of this. The companies that are behind, this is all public record. Anyhow, major money gets moved. This shit is all public record. You just look up who puts money in the what, and you put your foot on their neck. If you see your bank is supporting something, if you FedEx, not to go little off subject, but the Washington football team is owned. The namesake, the naming rights for their stadium is owned by FedEx. You know what I'm saying? The namesake of their ownership rights. I'm sorry, the namesake for their stadium is owned by FedEx. You tell FedEx we're gonna use UPS now. You own a company and your shipping runs through FedEx. Say, yo, we're gonna go ahead and move over to UPS.
Well,
because you
okay.
don't support Black lives.
On that note, I know FedEx has said something, but FedEx and a lot of the smaller minority companies that all have
I'm
stake
just
in the
using them as an
Washington football
example. I
team.
know what they've done already.
Yeah, but it's to prove your
Public
point.
knowledge.
Like the sponsors themselves, like they've come out and they said, "Hey,
Right.
either change this or we're out." So that was just to help further your point.
Yeah, I appreciate that. Just everybody needs to go out there and actually the main thing we need to do in America as Black people, I'm not talking to anybody else right now, as Black people, is your money, where your money goes has to matter going forward. You can't go, oh, well, I can't go without this, or I can't go without that. This needs to take this to what our generation specifically does not understand is that in Birmingham, when they did the public transportation boycott and they stopped riding the buses, they weren't riding the buses from over a year. This wasn't something where it was 2-3 weeks, or they picked a day where everybody stopped spending their money. People were walking to work off principle. Like, you're not gonna treat us right, we're not fucking with you. You're not getting our money no more. Anymore until you do something. And that's what it needs to come to. People, as much anger as you feel watching a video of a Black man getting his shirt held and getting gunned down in his back, and now the man is paralyzed. Thank goodness he's still actually alive to see his children. But to watch a man, the anger you feel while you're watching that video, when you go to swipe your card, or when you go to pay something online, or when you go to do something, find out where that money's going before you spend that money.
What's up, sir?
Preach.
That's enough of my range.
Yeah, I was about to say I ain't gonna lie, I had like 7 or 8 points written down. That's all gone, but it's all good. Just took all my points.
Eradicated.
Just ran
came in hot.
right through 'em. I was like, all right, well,
I be trying not to be overly militant.
Call your
But I'm
politician,
just,
spend your money. I legit got all that written down. Like, oh, well,
bro, black man fed up, man.
I mean, you're older, so it's been almost double my life.
But to what you're saying, that's the difference between a moment and a movement. So
Correct.
This needs to be a
Talk
movement.
about it.
Like
Correct.
this isn't
This
something.
ain't a moment, it's a movement.
And I feel like what's up?
Can we trademark that?
Oh,
I think we found the title.
Oh yeah.
So that's the thing. Like we gotta make sure that, and I think we stated this earlier back in March. I think we said it, but I'm not 100% sure. But the thing is, a movement is something you keep doing it until what you want done is done. So whatever changes that you're trying to come about, that change is there. For a moment, you're just doing it. All right, I'm a part of it. A moment is something you just do to say you were a part of history. A movement is something
And that's what a lot of that when them Black Lives Matter murals started to hit the streets, literally people go ahead to just be a part of a moment and then be done with it.
Because my thing is like with the protests
popular.
that were happening and everything,
It was
like,
popular.
I'm all for the protest. If you're protesting for the reason of the change, if you're protesting for the movement, but if you're just getting all dressed up, dolled up, and all that kind of stuff to go to a protest, to take a picture and post on social media just to say, "Oh, I was here," no, that's not what we need. We need people that are actually out there, that are actually, wanting to make this change that we're trying to do. Because there's some people can't go to protest because of their jobs and contracts with that. If you're not afraid to lose their job, then hey, you can go out there and do that. Other people don't want to go because of COVID.
If your job doesn't want you protesting, then you should.
I'm about to say, if your job don't allow you to protest, you probably shouldn't be working for them.
Well, I work for the government. And
if you're in the military, obviously, those things are.
But even though we can't protest, we can still do our stuff in other ways. Yeah. And that's what I'm doing. So even though I can't go out and I can't protest and stuff like that, like I still do what I can to actually get the message across, because it's something, I'm a Black man. Like, it's something that's close to me. So don't do something just for social media, or don't do something just to say, all right, I've done my piece, or I did my little bit. this is where I said it, because I was calling it your get out of cancel free card and stuff like that. Don't do it just for that. Do it because you actually support the movement and you actually want to see change. And it doesn't have to be going to a protest. It can be, if it is going to a protest, go to a protest. If you know someone, if you're connected and you know people higher up, then you start talking to them and you talk to them about these subjects until they're just tired of hearing about it and they just start doing something about it. If you're creative, then be creative with your work. Get your work out there to show people, because we're visual people. So get your work out there so people can see, oh, wow, that's what they're talking about. That's what they're trying to do. Like, use your skills to try and get the message across, but just make sure that you're doing it for the movement and not the moment.
Also, to add on to that, because I really only primarily spoke to black people. To our white allies, I want to also say,
hold up, see, where
your mic is tweaking.
Your phone,
what happened?
Your phone mic
your
is
mic kind of all gargled and everything now.
You said the white people.
How about now? Y'all can hear me? Y'all can hear me good now?
No.
But you sound like an alien.
Y'all.
That was good. That was better.
That was the clearest thing you said.
Right.
Fuck your cell phone provider.
All right, how about now?
It's because they stopped paying T-Mobile.
Anyway, boycott.
Listen, if y'all can hear me pretty clearly though, right?
We can understand what you're saying.
what
We
you're
can
saying.
understand you.
All
So roll.
All right, so I'm gonna say this, and then I'm gonna cut out real quick. So, to my white allies out there, I get asked privately, what do we do? How can we help? And this is why I keep speaking to y'all, is because y'all keep speaking to me. Whether it's in public or whether it's in private, I appreciate it. My biggest suggestion for what y'all can do is when you see other white people acting crazy or talking crazy, shut that shit down by any and all means.
Yeah.
Because we are tired of that conversation. I'm not explaining to no more stupid ass white people what the fuck is going on in this country when they can clear that, when they've been clearly seeing that shit clear as day the entire fucking lives, from watching integration in the fucking 60s and watching motherfucking and watching Jim Crow and then watching, and then watching fucking the social movement throughout the 70s and the fucking 80s, to watching all this shit going on right now. Y'all know what the fuck is going on, so we're tired of talking to them. So if you with us, just show us. You ain't gotta say nothing. Talk to them. Don't talk to us, because I'm not talking to them no more. And when they get crazy in the street, you know what I went and did? I bought a fucking 40 cal pistol. So I'm done talking.
Hey,
I'm done talking.
Black.
I'm standing. I live in Georgia. Georgia's a fucking stand your ground state, and I'm gonna stand my motherfucking ground, because ain't nobody stepping on these.
Want to get clear.
Nobody stepping on my fucking Nikes. So I'm standing my fucking ground. Shout out to Nike. They fuck with Cap. I fuck with them.
Capital. They fuck with Cap.
That's it.
They fuck with Cap. Yo, Nike fuck with Cap. I fuck with Nike.
Even if it
I was not a Nike person for years.
Even if it was
Flash will tell you.
Sure.
Ben and Jerry's.
Flash will tell you, I'm the biggest fucking hipster in the world. I did not fuck with Nike for about 2 decades and 3 decades, and now they fuck with Cap. I fuck with Nike.
Hey, facts.
Hey, but
that's what it is.
Just to put this out there, if anyone is listening in law enforcement, C did not say that he's going out and targeting people. He's just saying that he's going to protect himself. So
that's correct.
Y'all don't be coming after my man. Like, he's just protecting himself. He ain't going after nobody.
Nah, I'm shooting motherfuckers. Nah,
all right.
Ernest did not hear anything he said. You saw I leaned out of the picture. My headphones fell off, so whatever you said, you asked me, because I plead the fifth. I am sorry. My
voice was a little gargly, I think. We really couldn't hear.
You see, before he started, he said we couldn't hear him.
Yeah, we did. We all said it.
See, but this is just to let everybody know that this is the frustrations of the reality of things. Whether you're living black in America, especially a black male in America, whether you're 20, whether you're 25,
let's say
37.
black woman, black children, we
Hey,
can trans, we can
correct,
do all of
but-
it.
Yeah,
Black
we all
people,
gotta
black
have.
bodies.
We all
but-
gotta come together.
We
Black
do, but
bodies.
understand that
But
black
as men
males,
here, as here, black men that are here.
you know, black males get
We
the
have a
brunt of
different
it.
experience.
Correct. They get the brunt of it, and black women are a close second. But, you know, so again, regardless of age, some of us have been dealing with it for a little bit longer. We've seen a little bit more, you know, given the confines of this group, you know, speaking of me and C, you know, we've seen it a little bit more. We've seen it a little bit longer, and that's and some of us have seen it ways.
Yo, who house you trying to break into?
I'm
So,
saying.
We just
so
We over here talking about treat us fair, and you breaking into a house.
we are live
Fucking
on
up a white
YouTube.
man right now.
yo, chill out.
Fuck it, I can take my camera too. I got some neighbors.
I gotta.
All right, I'm gonna cut out, fellas. I appreciate y'all giving me the floor for a little bit.
Oh, he about to go
Appreciate
hit
you,
a lick.
C.
Bye.
I thought you about to give us the whole MTV Cribs view and
You haven't
everything.
turned a
Let's
light
see your
on
spot,
yet.
bro.
That is not your
Leave that
house.
for another
That is not his spot.
C,
All
thank
right,
you for
fellas.
joining us. Thank you for jumping in and speaking your mind. Peace out.
Peace.
What is happening?
He can't
So-
even turn it out like an old ass man.
So again, you know,
Oh, see, man, we love you.
facts. But that's again his frustrations that you can feel, you know, through the phone, through the camera, through the screen. You know, that's real. That's real. Y'all have to understand that if you don't know what that's about and you don't deal with any of that and you don't see it, you need to understand the reality of this thing. And that's what it is. This is why these players, you know, jumping back to, you know, these athletes that have these platforms, this is why they are finally starting to make noise about this and to speak up about this, because they understand that they have the platform. We don't have the, you know, we have the internet, sure, and those of us, we can stand up and say what we got to say, but who are us as individuals? You know, we are just people that exist in this world. But you look at some of these big time, again, how much further is the reach of a LeBron James, of a Chris Paul, you know what I'm saying, of a Doc Rivers? Exponentially longer and larger than ours. But again, we just got to pick up the mantle and try to extend it as far as it could possibly go. And seemed, you know, brought up a good point about, you know, the white Americans living here, that the ones that are starting to notice after forever, but the ones that are from this more recent generation that aren't necessarily systematically ingrained with being a racist in their blood, that they see a lot more, especially ones that grow up in, you know, urban neighborhoods, that they have a lot more diverse, you know, circle of friends, understand a little bit more. And those are the ones that you see that are in protest with everybody else, whether it be Black, Hispanic, whoever. They're the ones that are out there, and those are the same ones that are asking, hey, what needs to happen? What can I do? Well, again, as C said, use your privilege to shut these things down when you see it. Don't just sit back in the sideline and say, hey, I don't, you know, I'm just gonna pretend like I don't see what's going on.
And that's a lot of what the conversations that I've had with a few white allies that was just trying to have the conversation. They don't feel like, in some moments, which I could agree to as well, that it is not their place to speak. Now it is for sure, but in some moments they try and find when is right to speak, when is not to speak, and they try to walk on eggshells not to offend us or seem like it's not their business type deal.
No, it's your business.
That's
thing,
where a lot of white allies sit, or potential white allies sit. They're on that fence of not knowing.
Another thing that we also have to make sure is,
speak of the devil. Talking about white allies.
Yeah, I would say something before he hops in. But one thing we also got to make sure that we as Black people, that we don't do, we do have to be better in this situation. Like cops and everything like that. Like they see us and they generalize us as Black people because they don't know us individually. We can't go out and we can't generalize all white people. Like all white people aren't bad. All white
No.
people aren't racist, and we get that. We understand.
All police aren't bad either.
Right, and that's that's the message we're trying to get to the police is that hey, there might be some bad apples or there might be some people that do bad things, but we're not all like that. But I'm saying that to say because I've had some friends contact me and they're like, hey, I just want you to know I'm not racist. I hope I haven't done anything that made you think that and stuff like that. Because people just go out and just randomly calling people racist. I'm like, look, don't just go out and randomly call a white person racist just because you see them. Like, make sure make sure you have some type of fact, some type of evidence, something to back it up. But don't just call them that just to call them that. Because there are people that are on our side. There are people that are doing stuff to help us. We're trying to go after the people that aren't on our side and aren't trying to help us. So let's make sure that we're fighting the right fight and going after the right people and not just going after, any person that we see on the street.
But to your people, though,
Correct.
To your people, I will say that if they have to ask, or say that I hope I didn't say anything to offend you or be racist, or I hope I wasn't racist to you, it's also over their head.
Yeah, but I agree, but sometimes people can just be so much.
They just don't know.
Yeah, it could be in the emotions. They might not know what to say.
But again, like Slay Joe mentioned, speaking of white allies, and you can get the floor now. You can turn your audio back on. Jordan Hunt's up in here. Space Jam's up in here.
What?
Speaking of the devil.
That was
that was Jordan.
Yeah, so
it was literally.
He don't have his video on. He's got his mic on.
Welcome to the
welcome, brethren.
Welcome to making a long off hiatus back to a sports gaming anonymous conversation.
You have
for everybody.
to speak for the entire white community.
Correct.
The floor is yours, sir.
Our brother in arms, Jordan, Space Jam. Hey, bro, you got the floor. Speak whatever you want to speak. We've spoke on some things. C came in hot. He had some hot takes. So what you got for us?
I mean, I've been making it known on our Facebook page. I don't think anybody owes Kyrie an apology. I'm gonna start off like that. I'm gonna come in hot myself. I feel like because that's probably opposite what a lot of other people think because I've seen it. But at the same time, I'm saying that because I think that it still gave them a platform to talk on. And I think that not only that, but the abruptness that this stop is a trickling effect. If the season hadn't started, let's be honest, if it didn't start, it wasn't because of racism. It was because of the Rona. That would be why it didn't start. So now it started, and now it's stopping because of racism. You don't think so? The season didn't start because of the coronavirus.
No,
they were talking about
initially,
the bubble.
If it wouldn't have started, it's because they were trying to start it. So that means if they wouldn't have started, it's because they chose not to. Wouldn't have been because of Rona. Yeah, that's not what you said. You said it wouldn't have started.
No. I get that, but why did it stop?
Because that has nothing to do with what you said, though.
No, I think.
Okay, but now I'm asking now, though.
Because of Corona, that's why it stopped.
That's what he's saying.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So then the season would have stopped, and it would have just been stopped. But yes, I misspoke. It wouldn't have restarted because of that. But at the same time, now that it is abruptly stopping because of this, MLB is now stopping. And let's be honest, MLB probably would have never stopped had this not happened. Had the NBA not stopped, MLB would have never stopped.
Obviously.
Yeah, we see the NHL ain't doing anything.
Yeah, that's a good point. And again, that also, it's funny you say that because
NASCAR style racist.
I'm not talking about before we can't just let Kyrie doesn't deserve an apology slide. Why doesn't he deserve an apology though? If people are coming at you saying
for what?
I was going there.
No, I know.
So if people are telling you you're
so.
crazy because you're trying to stop the NBA because you're just a distraction, as Kendrick Perkins called them, that you need to shut up. We're trying to do more. We're trying to help and this and that. And he's telling you that playing basketball is going to take away from the fact of what we're doing. He was absolutely 100% correct. Because when basketball came back, all the Black Lives Matters movement, it just all disappeared. Even on my Twitter timeline, I can admit, all that just kind of disappeared. You went all back to sports. LeBron this, Dame this.
It was some level of normalcy again.
Like it was, everyone went back to normal and then bam. Now all of a sudden, now it's like, oh, we have to stop again. Like we could, he's saying that, I'm not saying that you can't have sports forever, but he was just saying that in this moment, this is bigger than going to play basketball right now. And everyone killed him for it. And then in hindsight, bam, it's bigger than basketball right now. So he was absolutely 100% correct. That's all I'm saying.
So I think the people that here's what I would say. I don't think that maybe you don't have to give a widespread apology, but if you definitely spoke out, so Kendrick Perkins, a lot of analysts, like media analysts,
obviously.
like if you came after Kyrie, like it's one thing if you were a player in the meetings and everything, you're like, hey Kyrie,
like,
I see what you're saying, but
we want to play and money and
that's one thing. But if you came out and you tried to diminish Kyrie,
like
or you tried to call him crazy and call him distraction, yes, those people definitely need to call him, call him, apologize, whether it's publicly, privately to him, whatever. If you came out publicly and came up against him, then you need to come out publicly and apologize to him too.
Right.
That I can 100% agree on. Like,
yeah, I think those people are the ones that need to come out and say something.
The way that it feels like is like there is just a lot of like everybody just going, you know, everybody owes Kyrie an apology. Like not everybody said anything about him.
Yeah. Right. So on that front, my thing is if you came out publicly and you said something to diminish the man. Now it's one thing if you said, "Hey, I agree with what Kyrie's saying. On my side, I feel like we should play because we can send a message by playing, but I'm completely in support with what he wants to do." Then you're good.
I think who
like Austin Rivers.
One that did that. About to say it was Austin
Rivers.
Exactly what I was thinking about. That was exactly what he said. He was like,
but Kendrick Perkins. But we looking at you, and I'm a Celtics.
You're not listening to Kendrick Perkins, man.
No. I'm talking to him right now because I'm a Celtics fan. I'm glad that you were on the team to help us, get our most recent championship.
Whoa, relax.
But we talk about 12 years ago. Calm down, man.
Hang on. But
air left.
Where you going? Wild. Kendrick Perkins, you're still wild for that statement. Like you can't make that on national TV, on Twitter, all that kind of stuff.
Kendrick Perkins trying to get views, man. That's
you can't do that. And I understand sometimes as a media analyst, you want to say stuff to get hot takes and get that viral video, but there's sometimes it's not worth it. And in that situation, that was not worth it. And you need to come out and publicly apologize to Kyrie.
And it's funny because you just mentioned, when Jordan came on, we were talking about the teams and with the sports that, we're boycotting these games, and we made a note. They were like, except the NHL and whatever, because they're in the playoffs, right? Their season's in the playoffs.
Who knows? No one knows why.
Nobody knows except people in Canada. But shout out to people in Canada, by the way, because Canada's great.
Shout out to Phil.
But at the same time, the people that when things like this happen and people always say, "Oh, it's not about race and this and that and the third," how many what's the percentage of black athletes that are in the NHL, right? Who's the black spokesperson in it? Well, there might be like 10 ethnic players.
I think it was like PK Subban or something like that. Sorry if I butcher his name. It's like PK something. I can't remember his name.
You
knew more than we did.
Yeah, correct.
I only know numbers.
They put it on EA Access, bro. They put it on EA Access
years ago. The only reason and to say these things aren't about race is proof in the pudding right there. There's no real black players of note in the NHL, right? There's no ethnic players of note in the NHL. They're not protesting. They're not stopping their season. They're not playing games. They're not boycotting because it shit doesn't pertain to them, right? The NBA is predominantly black. The MLB is predominantly ethnic. So, these MLS, same thing. So, because, black people aren't playing baseball anymore. So our brothers,
African American,
Dominican, but yeah, but they're black, and to everybody else, they're black. They look at them like, because most Dominicans look black. Sorry.
So, I mean, I'm gonna take it kind of serious right here because I had thought about this on the way home this morning, right? I passed a cop. Nothing happened, obviously, but the worst thing that I've ever thought. Just listen. I promise you, it's serious.
This is funny.
The difference.
I know where you're going.
The thing that people don't understand is whenever that interaction happens with you guys and they see you and you look at each other, you don't know what's gonna happen. When I pass a cop, the last thing on my mind is, sure, he's gonna pull me over. It's like, fuck, where is my ID card? Where's my insurance?
Boy,
Let me
you
get
know,
there.
the, you
Jordan,
know the
I'm gonna ask
level of
you-
anxiety that strikes
Bro,
our
and that is-
bodies
Jordan, I'm gonna
when
ask
we
you-
see
I'm gonna
a
ask you
cop
this
fall.
That
question.
is what I'm saying. Like for me,
None whatsoever.
I mean, and as a friend of everybody in this group here, I can see what you guys go through. I don't fully understand because it's not me, but at the same time,
But you can empathize.
I don't have to go through that though, and that's the
Right.
part that people don't realize, that there is two
Correct.
different stories here.
They don't.
Because there are
It's not just
racist stuff happens every day.
correct.
And they don't understand that.
Nope.
And that is the little thing. It could be a good cop, it could be a bad cop, but you don't know that as a
You
black
don't know.
man driving
true.
that vehicle. You do not know that.
I have no idea.
And Jordan, I'm gonna ask you this question. How old is your oldest child?
My little girl is 6.
6.
Just turned 6.
Oh, my son is
Reed, how old is your son?
6.
6. So Jordan, have you ever had to talk to your daughter about how to act around cops or how to deal with the police or anything like that?
No, I never have.
Reed, have you had that conversation with your son?
We have started to have conversations about the differences for him that he will face.
That right there.
He's starting to
public-
have those color issue,
school.
identity issues. Like, like when he was going to school in
skin so
Virginia,
dark.
like, I'm the only,
Mhm.
kind of dark kid in my class. And yep. So we haven't
So
had to
to the
have
general
the
public,
police
this is-
conversation yet, but
this is a huge
we're going to
point
have to
just
have
right
it,
here.
yes.
You have 2 6-year-olds, one black, one white, and you can see that at a young age of 6, black parents already have to have conversations with their kids about
and
stuff
at
like
6
this.
at 6 it's identity stuff, because most of the kids he goes to school with are white, and that's so it's shout out to the fact that he's embracing more his color, which is great, and he's starting to have those issues less and less, little by day by day. But yeah, that's 100% the thing. And to kick back on Jordan's point, that anxiety that you feel when you
Bruh, that shit
like, yo,
is
you black, you
so-
look straight,
Oh my-
look straight, but don't look nervous. You have to do. You have to like,
bruh, you gotta
You gotta do it all. You
normal,
gotta-
act normal, act cool, act cool.
normal.
Like, what does that even mean?
like
While
instantly,
you looking in every mirror you have in your car.
instantly.
Every one of us has done this. Oh, he about to pull me over.
Oh,
Face,
yeah,
like, oh, he
it's
about to pull
over
me over.
with.
You know it. Like, oh, he gonna pull me over.
You've broken 0 traffic laws. And you're like,
None.
all of a sudden, just by design of how traffic flow is set up, a cop ends up behind you, not because he's been following you, but just
No.
ends up there, and you're like, shit.
Fuck. What did I
Look
do?
straight.
Bro,
Just
it happens
don't-
to me just because, like, I drive my parents' vehicles every now and then.
Should I
Like, my
change
parents
lanes?
live in
Should
a
I not
nice-
change
My parents
lanes?
live in a nice neighborhood. Like, it seems cliche and it seems like it only happens in
I gotta
sitcoms, but
know.
no, people don't feel like we belong in certain areas or we should be driving certain things. So when I am driving certain
Look,
things and when they
even-
can see I live in a certain place, like,
Even-
we do get followed and we do get questioned.
I can tell you how real the level of anxiety is by nature of being black. And full disclosure, I don't notice, I work for the postal service, I'm a mail carrier, and even in a postal vehicle, the level of anxiety is not as high, but it's still there. It's like, because when you're in a postal vehicle, the police is kind of like, it's a badge where it's like it's not a free pass, but at the same
your
time,
job
they're not
doesn't
going to
matter
mess
when
with you. But at
your
the
job-
same time, you don't know. If something happened, you'll be like, they're not gonna. As long as you have your postal ID on you, you pretty much nothing's gonna happen to you. But at the same time, you don't know. You
That's
just
the
don't
first thing that
know.
pops into your
How
mind.
terrifying that
Well,
is.
and that, I mean, and looking, like I said, looking at it like that is same. Like I was saying earlier, your job doesn't change the color of your skin, right? Doesn't
No, it
change if that
doesn't.
person's racist or not. So I mean,
Thankfully,
it's-
most police respect the postal service. So
They respect the hell out of everything government related.
correct. So it's an unfortunate thing but that's the reality of things. And again, those are things that people don't understand where they say things like, "Oh, just do what the police say." You don't understand. That's the furthest thing from a terrified person's mind, where I don't know
Especially when you're
what
getting screamed at saying get the fuck on the
you're
ground
getting
and
different,
get
or
the
you don't know
fuck,
what's going on.
put your hands up, don't fucking move
Move, but
all at
don't move.
once.
Right,
Gun pointed at your face.
right. Put
Like,
your
I'm
hands
just trying
behind your
not to
back, but
get
don't
fucking
move.
shot.
I don't understand. How do I do both of those things at
They're,
the same time?
like twisting your wrist, saying stop
Right,
resisting.
yeah.
Well, you about
Stop
to break
resisting.
my
Like
wrist.
I can, like literally, you're about to break my arm. I have
I'm
to
going
do
to-
something. I'm
Right.
going to move.
What?
It's not that simple, but I understand at the same time, though, not to take that side of things. I do understand the narrative of don't act the fool, because that's a different thing. Yes, if you're there's a level of being black and like, okay, if if you're abiding by the law and the police are like, hey, and I always say I don't stick up for the other side of this narrative, but if you're, because let's be honest, I don't know what it's like to be a police officer or law enforcement or anything like that. I don't know a genuine fear that might exist for an officer, regardless of the person of whatever the person's color, race, whatever that they're pulling over. They don't know what they're walking
It's
up
the
to.
same thing. It's
They
true
really
shit.
don't.
It's the same
So
shit.
I will extend that level of I understand that they could be walking beside a car and somebody just has the gun ready in their lap and just decides that
That happens all the
this ain't
time
the day,
too.
and they just gonna shoot at
Yeah.
them. So I get that. I understand that level of it, because they have a different anxiety that they have to deal with
They got to
walking up
be
to
able
the
to
side of
react,
somebody's vehicle.
at a moment's notice.
Correct. But at the same time, it's not, so the anxiety is on both sides, so, but it's just a matter of don't act the fool. But I think because a lot of these things that I've seen, I wouldn't say a lot, but there's a decent amount of these videos where you have black males that are very aggressive in their tone and their actions in these instances where, oh, what I do, oh, you can't do this, da, 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 da. You know what? My life is way too valuable to get in an argument with a man that's got a gun and I don't. So whatever he or she's got to say, what do you need me to do? To put my license here, keys here. What do you need from me? Cool, I got you. Whether or not I did or didn't do what, we can have a very civilized conversation about that. But to get aggressive and you are putting a person that's armed and already slightly anxious, you're making it worse, much worse. So the moment you start to act aggressive or, out of pocket, out of tone, things go from like 5 to like 8.5 real fast. And
But
that's a bad situation to be in.
it's also the police job to de-escalate.
It is.
Right,
You're
yeah,
not
absolutely.
supposed to go, if they're
100%.
wilding, you're not supposed to wild with them. That's not how that
100%.
works.
Yeah.
Correct.
Like, even the case that just happened with Jacob Blake, he got called for a domestic dispute. He wasn't supposed to be there. So he's already on edge. Like, it's already
So
him
you know
and
what
his
you walking
girl,
into.
baby mom. Like, he's not
Animated.
supposed to
He
be
don't
there.
want to
Trying
deal with
his
none of it.
kids, this and, like, he's already on edge. You
Mhm.
can't come there on edge anyway. Like, no one should be
No.
shot 7 times for a domestic dispute.
But they
Like,
do.
And that's the whole point of it. The thing is, we're not saying that we don't do, wrongdoings, or we're not in the wrong at certain times. Every single person, or every single race, every single culture, every single ethnicity, whatever you want to say, all of them have someone that's going to do some type of wrong at some point. The
Mhm.
thing is, when you as a cop, when you show up to that situation, you need to do everything in your power to de-escalate the situation and make sure everyone comes out of the situation alive.
Yeah.
Like, that's the thing.
Because you're supposed to take these people in for due process and that.
Exactly.
That-
You are
that-
not
that
judge,
is a-
jury, and executioner. You
No.
are the police. That's it.
And that
That's
starts
the
at
problem.
that is the problem. That starts with training, right? It's just like, and especially here, police police in America aren't nearly getting the training that they should be getting. You know, the time spent in the academy and on task and all these things, especially, you know, in relation to other countries and other countries across the water, that to get in those positions, you have to spend months in training, some of the places a year. Like in America,
Hold
it's like
up.
what, a few weeks?
So
through-
breaking
through the
news:
academy?
3 weeks.
both LA teams have just voted to strike the rest of the NBA season.
Hot,
Damn.
coming in hot off the presses, everybody.
Now,
Both
all the
LA
other teams
are
have,
on
as of
strike.
right now, stated that they're going to keep
No
playing.
NBA.
No,
But the
first
Lakers-
of all, if
Lakers and
if
Clippers.
both LA teams said that, then the other teams can't play. That's Kawhi. and
Nobody
LeBron.
else is right.
Doesn't
Correct.
matter
Those are
what
the
you
two
say.
biggest
Sorry.
teams
Talking
to say, like,
Sorry,
no, we
bro,
ain't
you're
playing
done.
no
Like
more.
it's done.
did.
And the two
Yeah.
biggest
I
two
mean,
and
no,
teams that have like
they voted and they took their
like
stance.
four
Both
of the
LA
biggest
squads.
names in the league on those
Yeah.
teams. No, nobody else is playing
3.5.
because 3.5, and you know,
No disrespect, apologize.
correct. But those, you're talking about 3 out of the top 5 players in the league,
Mm-hmm.
you know, voice wise and persona, you know, just on these teams that are speaking that message. Everybody's out coming playing because what's the next biggest name in the league? Giannis. Let the Bucks come out and say they're not playing.
Which
Dunzo.
they already
Nobody else is playing.
basically did.
Bucks basically
Right.
already done said that.
So if the top 5 players, you know, on teams in the league are like, no, we're not playing anymore, we're going on strike, nobody else is playing because this season is already illegitimized as it is due to
We've
COVID.
had that discussion on a recent podcast episode.
Correct. Go check out the SGA podcast, Sports Gaming Anonymous. But this
Subscribe.
would already, this is a, you know, that's the state of things already. This is just taking that to the next step further, because if those 2 teams decide they're not going to play and the other teams are like, we're going to keep playing, man, there wasn't already an asterisk on this season, which
Those
there
are
will
2
be.
teams that everyone said, hey, it's
There's
going to be one
another
of these 2 teams.
There's going to be another
So
asterisk
if one
right
of the
next
2
to
teams
it.
that you thought was going to win the championship just said we out, then look, I don't even want my Celtics to win to have an illegitimate championship like that.
This is scrapped. And I told people from the jump, look, this was not a good week. And I'm sure we talked about this on an earlier podcast where I mentioned this, that it was, in my opinion, that this should, now granted, the NBA handled things great, this whole in the bubble thing, and they handled it as best as possibly could. There was no cases. People were tested coming into the bubble, the players, and it was great. There was no problems, no issues. And I still don't think that it was a good idea. Even coming out on I stand by my statement that I don't think it was a good idea just in general, just because of what, you know, things could mean, just looking at the season in retrospect and how things will play out. And again, the black eye of the state of the world and how this is going to be looked at 10 years from now when people look back on this season and be like, what happened here? You know, we know what happened when the Spurs lockout season, like we can identify that. It makes sense. It's still legitimate, but you know, this is just another one. And now here we are, because of things going on in the world. Again, back to racial injustice. You know, here we are, the NBA standing up, and this season is probably done. It should be at this point. If it shouldn't have been done before, this should really be the axe on this season. And what the MLB does, who knows? I don't think they'll go that far. I don't think the MLB should start up in the first place, because baseball, really, most people really don't care about baseball as it is.
And they didn't have their stuff together.
So, and they didn't even handle their restart well either. They didn't do a bubble like the NBA did. So you know, that's a knock on those players, their player association, for not coming behind that. And they had positive tests those first couple of weeks, and they had to postpone games, cancel games, move. Like, come on, your season was illegitimized off the jump, and now you're just making it worse. Y'all should have just cut. Y'all shouldn't even come back. Forget it. MLB, y'all scrapped for the whole season. You know, and that's for me. You know, we 3 of us in here, we Yankees fans. So, but look, this is.
No, let me I called this before the season, before they resumed to. Let's call a spade a spade. I said the NBA was gonna restart, and as soon as they got to the playoffs, it was gonna end. I didn't think it
You
was
did say
because
that.
of
I
this.
do
Did
remember
say
that.
I said they were gonna fake and give somebody COVID or something, but I knew they just needed those 8 games to fulfill that TV deal, which was
Yep.
like billions of dollars.
They sure
They
did.
got those 8 games in. The regular season was over. Bam, 3 games to the playoffs, 4 games in, over with.
Here
It's
we
not
go.
shocking to me. I didn't think it was going to be because of this,
No.
but this is an easy exit strategy now for the owners because they were looking to get out of this anyway.
Yeah.
The players, I don't know what they were feeling, but I knew the owners and the commissioner, they were looking for exit strategy, and this is like, oh, this is a perfect storm for them.
This is
So
it.
I'm not giving them all the credit, honestly, because they were looking for an out.
They were. I mean, but this is where I
they
give
have
the players
to get
credit.
obviously.
Right.
For
Where
sure.
I give the players credit because this is their league, right? The NBA more so than any other league is a player-driven league. The players hold a lot of the power. This ain't like, again, I mentioned it before, this ain't like the NFL and the Shield where the owners hold all the power. In the NBA, it's the opposite. The players hold the power.
Now, see, that's where the real, and this is going to be the last thing that I say, or the last topic I talk about. If this continues on, so like I said, movement over a moment. If this is a movement and this continues on, let's say the NBA does, the rest of the teams, they say we ain't playing. Let's say that, the MLB, they say we ain't going to play a few more games, or the MLS says that I don't know how much longer their season goes. We've got about 2.5, 3 weeks until the NFL season starts with the Chiefs. Because the thing is, you're going to have a real fight between your owners and your players because your owners are going to want you to play and some of the players aren't. So
it's not
even though we know that the NFL is most likely going to play, like
them boys playing.
What is that going to do?
NFL are lying about COVID tests. They don't care.
Right.
The Jets
What
had
was that
77
tests that
positive.
they had to
and then they sent them to a different studio.
17 positive tests.
And then none of them positive.
What'd you say, Jordan?
To get tested.
He was just saying the numbers.
Came back.
So it's gonna be interesting where this narrative turns, because one thing I don't want, those in the media that hate what the athletes are doing, one thing I don't want them to do, I don't want them to pit the NFL players versus the NBA players.
You mean Fox News?
Well, I was trying not to say their name. Now,
we can talk about it.
If you want to pit the owners against the owners,
get out of here.
I'm all for it. But don't pit the players against the players,
right?
Because I'm pretty sure the NFL players would do what they can, but at a certain point, they can only do as much.
Yeah,
or they can't do as much as NBA players.
I don't think that'll be a concern because, again, the players in the NFL don't have any power. So let's be honest, they have no power. So the NBA players got shit ton of power. So the NFL is just going to be, it is what it look. NFL players were already opting out of, referees were opting out of the season just because of Corona.
Mm-hmm.
Hey, so, you might be able to get a spot.
Hey,
in
correct.
About 5 years, I think the NFL players will have the most power they've ever had. About 5 to 10 years. Once the Brady, Breeze, Rodgers, Ben Roethlisberger, when they're all out, and it's just Lamar, Dak, Mahomes, Watson, things like that. You get the picture.
Correct.
It's going to be a little different.
That next CBA agreement was that in what, 5 years, 6 years?
It's going to be a little different when all of your best and top quarterbacks are like black, half black, whatever you want to call it. For some of them, it's going to be different.
Skill wise, we're already there. I mean, Brady's still here. He's still playing.
Yeah, but they're like they're still they're still there.
Is he better?
We're talking about
those four guys. Is still huge.
Everybody, you're not gonna get the Prescott slander off, but
Bill Belichick eating Cam up right now. Loving Cam.
Oh, whoa! Come on.
Yeah, definitely close.
What are you doing? Wait a God.
Wrong segue.
And my last point, you might not ever. I have to see what LeBron, as they say, he exited the meeting. They didn't say what side he was on. I need to see what side he was on because my entire life's opinion will change on LeBron James once I figure his viewpoint. If he's leaving this season behind,
well, I mean, if the team said no, there's really not much
Yeah,
can
I'm
do.
saying,
That's
but it
what
could have been like
LeBron
a 10-1 vote, a 10-2 vote,
Right.
But
You
you
know,
never know.
half of
But
them
I'm
about to
assuming,
under LeBron.
I'm assuming, I'm
Right.
99.9% sure he's on board because what he says.
Correct.
But if he
Right.
decides to leave this season alone, while you're chasing Jordan, you're chasing trying to be the GOAT, and you know your time's running out. Like this is one
Chasing
of your
Kareem in the
last,
point and the total points and all
this is
that.
one of your last time. This is going to be a great chance to win it this year, and you leave all that alone. My respect is going up, even though off the court it's always
Correct.
been like the highest. I've always called him
Yes.
the GOAT off the court. Like no one can ever
100%. I
get close to what he's done.
and again,
made a whole school, dog.
And again,
ever get close to what he does.
As a huge Jordan fan, I concur 100%.
Jordan was late to the off the court party.
Everybody knew
correct.
Jordan
And
was
even
on.
then, not only was he late to the party, even then he still didn't.
He was
He
all
still didn't have the
about
right
ball. That was
Right.
that man was a man about basketball.
Exactly.
Nothing else.
We're comparing apples and oranges because what LeBron does off the court and the stance that he had, in terms of what his voice, when it comes to things like this and just issues in general in the world, right? You hear LeBron speak on a lot of stuff. Kudos to him 100%. He's, like you said, he's the GOAT off the court, and what he does, on the court, this persona, this career that he's built to be able to use the platform and to use it right, to use it in the proper way goes a long way. That speaks, volumes about his legacy. And like you said, as long as he was the spearheading their decision to not play, and his was a strong voice in them making that decision. Again, like you said, kudos to him because he doesn't have long left, and in like you said, chasing those statistics, right? I think he's put down enough proof, enough evidence to lead us to believe that he's walks that walk, you know what I'm saying? That he's not just, I'm just here. He loves basketball, sure. But he's not just here to chase stats. LeBron has been guilty of he might be stat padding sometimes, right? But I think for him, a lot of times there's a bigger picture. He's way more. I think
that comes with kids too, having a family.
He's 100%. Way more, infused in what's going on, not just in basketball, but what's going on around him. He's much more aware of world issues and Black issues, if we being 100% on, on topic here.
Well, let's also be honest, the NBA as a whole, player-wise, they're way better than that now than what Jordan gets the flag for it, but
but none of those other players.
None of those players were really doing much.
That platform, it was there, but it really wasn't there.
Yeah. So, granted, LeBron, he definitely deserves the most credit out of just about anybody, but a lot of players are stepping up and doing a lot more, especially star-wise, way more than.
Of course, you're talking 90s. About LeBrons and the Chris Pauls and all these guys that
are. Talking about before we say anybody, let's not forget Chris Jackson.
Hey,
I can't remember what he changed his name to. Mahmoud
Abdul Rauf.
Rauf or something. Let's not forget. So we had one.
But when he stepped out, didn't that basically end his career?
Yes.
They
basically did.
To a degree,
they basically capped him.
Yeah,
in a different way.
He was still putting up. He was still doing what he was doing. To me, his career got better after he changed his name.
No, but I'm saying when he started becoming more outspoken
his protesting the anthem. I think. When he protested the anthem and things like that.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, but we just need more people, and we mentioned the NFL, and Slajo made a good point about them maybe having more power in the coming years. When the high profile guys at the high profile position are all players of color, right? Hopefully they'll start to get some of that power, because these are the guys, these are the face of your franchises. Your Russell Wilsons, your Patrick Mahomes, your Deshaun Watsons. You know what I'm saying? These guys are the face of your franchises. They're the quarterbacks. They're holding all the power. You got to give them all the money, right? Look at Patrick Mahomes. Right? You got to give him all the money because These are the guys that are carrying your team. These are the guys that when anybody mentions your team, that's the player they think of. That's the person who's selling the most amount of jerseys for your team, right? So hopefully they'll never have the same power that NBA players do. But again, hopefully they get some more and they'll have more power when it comes to issues like this. But again, they can still use their voice, right? We need to see more of them using their voice on these platforms, again, and I'll keep using LeBron James, like a LeBron James does. I want to hear more, not that they're not speaking, right?
Wait a minute, hang on. We missed a shout out. We got to shout out Kenny too for walking off the TNT set.
I was gonna get there. Kenny, shout out to Chris
Smith.
Webber too. I don't know if y'all heard Chris
Webber. I saw the video on Instagram.
Chris Webber he does not know what he's talking about during the games, but however, today go listen to his little spiel when he was talking. That was also good.
Yeah, shout out to Kenny Smith, because it's great. It's very powerful to watch the Kenny Smith video, because you watch him go through a natural progression because I feel like when he started talking, it wasn't with the intention that I'm gonna get up and walk out of here.
Yeah, it was a realization.
You can see the gears turning, where he's making this natural progression of stages where it's like, okay, this is how I feel, this, that, and the third. And you could just see it escalating in his brain. Yeah. He was like, and it was just
what do I need to do here?
It was such a natural thing. Like, okay, I gotta go. I just have to go. Like, and a literal exit stage left.
And shout out to Ernie for letting him do it and saying, I'm here for you. I support you. Like, whatever
Ernie's
you need to do.
One of the best.
Like,
Ernie, he's that guy. He's
facts, 100%. And it's funny, and I know, and it to me, and the moment was so serious, and in classic, like, and it wasn't even supposed to be funny, but in classic character Charles Barkley fashion, it was just like Kenny walked off set, and then like Chuck like picks up his mug and just takes a drink. Like, I couldn't help but not laugh, because I'm like, that is just so Charles Barkley. Like, you're such a character. Like, that's such a,
there was not too much else could happen in that moment, bro.
I'm gonna just sip my mug, like,
nothing else to do.
There's nothing else to do. So something had to happen after that, and that broke it.
Like complete silence for like.
Yeah, it was just like, oh shit, this is happening, and then that was over. But to that, this is my last point, and it's speaking to Dre's point about. It's a movement, not a moment. And I don't want people to get confused that moments are important. Moments aren't important, because it took a moment like Colin Kaepernick, who had no idea. Could you imagine being Colin, not having no idea what was to come after you knelt? Like, literally, you never know what your next move could be that could literally change everything. It literally is about something so not small on our end, but grand scheme universe-wise, just a small moment in history and time that he took to do that, to change everything. And
shout out to Colin Kaepernick for getting this ball rolling, not for nothing. Not that people didn't start this ball rolling many years ago, but in this moment,
he just kicked the snowball back down the mountain. It got stopped for a bit. That's
correct.
All.
In this era that we're living in this particular time frame, shout out to him for getting that going again.
So yeah, like that ass, like just moments matter, and moments over the course of a movement. So,
and not only shout out to him for that, but shout out to him for literally being the martyr for that, because somebody had to get martyred for it to be okay, or for things to keep happening, and players.
We got several martyrs already. All them names that we be talking about every day.
Right, and for players to say, okay, we're gonna do this, and we're gonna have this voice, because we had somebody that stood up, but knelt, that took a stance, and was martyred for it. But now we have so many people that are backtracking and like, man, we you see that bullshit that.
Roger Goodell said that the NFL.
Roger Goodell is saving himself at this point.
Well, first of all, Roger Goodell doesn't even have a. He's a puppet, so he just
Exactly. That's why he's a puppet for
he's
the.
not even.
He's
I
got
don't know.
all
No
the
one
owners.
knows what his beliefs are because he's just saying shit that they tell him to say.
Right.
He doesn't
He's
have
the
a voice.
he's the
Like he works for the
man.
owners.
he's the voice of the owners. That's Roger
Mhm.
Goodell's job, which is why they pay. That's what they pay him for. That's where he gets his money from. That's what they pay him for, to be the voice for them.
But he should not have said that.
No,
You know, the
but
irony of Cap being a martyr is like that he's mixed. You know, like how ironic that is.
Yeah.
That his mom's white and his dad's black.
right.
And like it's funny how the world works that way. It's
Oh,
like,
to even
it's
go
just-
back and further,
it's
the
like-
way he
like,
decided
it's
to wear his
funny.
afro out is because
Like,
people
it's
was
just-
calling out
mhm.
his non-black side. I was like, "You white, bro? What are you doing?" And then he wore the afro.
Right. And
so
again,
yeah, you know, when your kids, if your kids go to school, we all have kids. You know, it'll be one page in the history book. You know how it be.
yeah, it'll be a
That's it.
page.
It'll be
Maybe in the
one of
school
the
paragraph,
excerpts.
but
It'll
not
be
in
one
my
of the
history.
excerpts at the
Paragraph.
bottom.
Right.
You know,
And
but
it'll
it'll
be a
be
paragraph.
followed by, this is what happened as a result of that, and we got here because
Not them
of
school history
because
books.
of this. Well,
It's
school
gonna be
history books, they're
it's
not
gonna be-
putting
it's
this
gonna be
stuff
the
in there.
riots.
So
this stuff's not
we
going to
learned
be
for
in there.
slavery 2 days, but the Holocaust was like 2 semesters of work. I'm like, what about the
Yeah,
stuff y'all did?
I look at my Google calendar and it still shows Columbus Day, and I'm so mad. I'm like, how do I delete that? And I can't get rid of it, and it's really irritating. And I want to just get rid of it because it keeps popping up as a holiday, and it still pisses me off. But Jordan, do you got anything as a last closeout for you? Everybody else has got a thing that they said that they mentioned. If you got anything, you can go ahead and rattle off.
You know, as I've been able to sit here, listen to you guys, and I'm on my way to work, but as a white male and just white people in general, it's up to us to stand with you guys. You know, that is where everything is not going wrong, but that's where it needs to happen more. Is you guys are that driving force. We need to be there to support you, because it just doesn't happen enough. You don't see it enough. Everybody questions what your guys' aspect is on things, you know? Just like it goes back to the police thing, you know, don't struggle, like you guys were talking about earlier, you know? Well, how am I supposed to not struggle when you're breaking my arm? That's not for us to go, hey, he should listen to the cops, and that wouldn't happen. That's not what we're here to do. We need to go, well, maybe they were being a little aggressive there. They were being aggressive there. Not maybe, they were being aggressive there. There's 3 grown men and another grown guy who they're trying to take down. Why does it take, 7 bullets, I think it was?
Right.
Paralyzing the man? Why does it take 7 bullets when you are 3 grown-ass men who have training?
It was like 5.
Very little, but so you have training.
Right.
I mean, and then you look at videos, I can't remember who posted in the group, I think it was Rich Haley, of the Caucasian gentleman who took the baton from the 2 police officers and were hitting them with it. And then he got to drive away in the cop car.
That's
He's
an
not-
outline
he's not
right
paralyzed.
there.
Crazy.
But like, and at the same time, it hits double standard there, because then you're like, well, maybe those cops aren't racist. Well, sure, but at the same time, that's how it should happen every time. Like, no, they shouldn't give you their own baton, but they shouldn't shoot a guy 7 times just because he's going to his vehicle.
Right.
Spear him, tackle him, do something else. You know,
Sure.
you don't have to shoot somebody 7 times to get your point across. That is what, like Aaron said, you are there to de-escalate the situation and make the wrong right. That's your job.
Yep.
And as a white person in America, my job is to go, that is wrong. I'm with you guys.
100%. Well said. Well said, sir. Appreciate that. And I guess, you know, for me, just kind of my last point to close things out, you know, it's again, like we said, this needs to be a movement, not a moment. You know, we've said that a few times here. You know, it's the current title of this video, and it's just one of those things where this can't be, this happened now, and there's miss a few games here, a few days there. This is a week, 2 weeks. No, this needs to be, things have to shift on a whole scale, you know. And in terms of, can we get to a point where you know, racism cannot be as bad? Sure, but that's going to take a while. That's going to take another generation,
4 generations,
right? That's going to take a little bit. We need the boomers to,
and again, it's going to take,
pass
like
away,
I said, white people in America to go, I am with you guys.
Right, correct.
And just be, I mean, and to the movement, not the moment. Like I said, we have to support that because it has to be something that we do. You guys are the driving force, but we have to support it. We can't be against it.
Correct. And there needs to be, and again, none of things that have happened before. There's campaigns for, you know, defunding the police, and quite frankly, that is not the answer. On a whole scale, we need to reform things. The right word is reform. There needs to be more training. There needs to be better training. There needs to be better psychological training. You can't keep hiring racist people as police officers just because they can pass the test physically and they can pass the written test doesn't qualify you to be an officer of the law. Same thing as, you know, being military. You have to pass a very psychological test.
I know mad military people that don't make it military and go be cops.
Exactly, because they can't pass the psych test. So that's the fallback for them. Well, I'll just go be a cop because I'm racist and I'm crazy and I couldn't get into the military.
So I think one of the things that hit with that, it's funny. I can't remember if I said it on a podcast before. I know I've said it before. I saw a post, and I know my stepdad, he's a veteran. He posted, you know, if a military police officer or even a military personnel were to harm the enemy in any other fashion that wasn't wartime, so to speak, you know, they get reprimanded. They have that ability to not do that, and all the stress they're under being over there, and they don't do it. And if they do, whenever they're not ordered to, so to speak, then they are
you locked up.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. You court martial.
See you in Missouri, motherfucker.
Right there.
Yeah.
Behind bars.
Right.
But so why does it take, you know, and they are beaten down, battered. I mean, they are over there for, you know, half a year at a time. But they show that restraint. Yep. Why can't we not do that?
Show that. Why you got to show restraint while being shot in wartime and really after 9/11, the ROE car was, you have to positively. You could be being shot at, but you have to be able to positively identify who is shooting at you before you can shoot back. Mm-hmm. You got to know it's the enemy for sure.
How we can in this country, how we can handle one level of our enforcement to such a high standard, but not the other one. You know, we need to start.
Because they're separate. It's because they are completely separate entities.
They are separate entities, but at the same time, the level of importance, it needs to level out, because the training and again the psychological training that goes in that is involved with being with being in the military and being in the service is exponentially higher than to what it takes to get into the police force, which is just passing through the academy, which is just passing some physical tests for the most part, and maybe a written test or two. So it's nowhere near. The gap needs to bridge a little bit. I don't think we'll never get to a point where the training is the same, and I'm not expecting it to, but the gap needs to be bridged somewhere to the point where we can at least hold the police force to a higher standard. And again, that comes with reform.
We don't even hold them to the standard of performing life-saving measures after you shoot somebody or harm somebody. The old dude that they pushed over in the protest that knocked his head out on the ground and started leaking from his ear. Literally there was probably 20 cops there. If you've ever seen the video, the first people to walk up was giving them back the first people to walk up and help him, 10, 15 people, cops later, were the National Guardsmen with the tear gas canisters in the back. They walked up and actually started providing aid. And I think this actual time, again with Jacob, literally, this might, if I watched the video properly, they were hovering over him after they shot him and got him out of the car. This felt like, at least from what I saw, the only time that they've actually attempted to perform any sort of life-saving measure after the body hit the ground.
They don't want you to survive to tell your side of the story.
Of course not.
Right.
After they know they're wrong, they want you to
They don't-
die. They don't want him to live through that. That's you know how much they about to pay this man?
Yeah, correct.
He about to own the city.
It's bad when you're surprised that they lived. That's horrible to say, but I mean, I'm being honest. Tina told me today. She said that guy they shot is paralyzed. I said he's paralyzed. I said they didn't. I said I thought they killed him. Like they shot him.
You missed it. Well, Jordan, you missed it when we started. I literally started this by saying, "Rest in peace, Jacob." Like I'm just so.
But,
like
and that's what I'm saying. Like
condition, bro.
Like
how my parting words, because I'm here at work, so I gotta get in there. But my parting words is that right there should just go to show how crazy of a fucking situation it is. That right there, my thought process was, damn man, they took another one. And realistically, he's still alive. Granted, he's going to be confined for the rest of his life. I don't know if he's a paraplegic or a quadriplegic, but he's going to be confined to something. You know, and
his life is
the
forever
fact
changed.
that's surprising that he is a survivor is just goes to show how fucked up this shit is. So, like I said, I'm gonna get into work. Like I said,
Appreciate you talking, bro.
We need to do better
for the white man.
We need to do better. As you guys always know, I'm here for y'all, ride or die.
Facts.
Love you, Jay.
Thank you. Appreciate you joining us. And
Stacey, you got any final words?
Listen.
I don't know. Stacey kind of bougie. She might be an all lives matter over there.
Oh yeah, she absolutely.
She all grass
she all her.
Right.
All
Correct.
Stacey's
She's about her. Correct.
All
Exactly.
Stacey's matter. Okay.
That's all she cares about. Me?
But again, in closing, this is a whole.
I got an in closing, and it's got nothing to do with none of this.
Bet.
Right.
Well, before you
Bitch
do that,
ass motherfuckers. No, fuck this. It's already happening. That's reselling this Kobe gear. I promise you, if I find you,
Oh damn.
I will kill you.
How much they selling it for?
Bro, a Kobe jersey is going for like $1,200 right now.
Jersey is going for $1,200.
A jersey, bro.
That black and gold Lakers jersey.
Yes, the black.
The
Mamba
extra
jersey.
small is going for $1,200.
Why you gotta be specific with the extra small?
But because when they reselling the price,
that was
the different sizes
that was the
change.
highest, the
price.
extra small was the highest price, basically.
wow.
But you white people profiting off this, man. That I promise you, if I catch you in real life, it's not gonna be pretty. I'm going to jail. I can tell you that right now. Get my
This
bail
is
money
Kobe's
right
number
now.
one
You
fan
heard
right
it here
there in
first.
Sladro.
Everybody
I
stop
will.
with the nonsense. But
Oh,
again,
and also,
this is
was killing everybody.
one more take, not a take. LeBron's gonna run for president in 2016. Heard
He
it?
should.
Not 2016.
2026.
2036 is what I meant. I meant to say
2036.
16. I meant to say 16 years from now.
36.
2036.
The way they making presidents now,
2036.
it can be 26.
Go win.
Right.
It might be
Could be
24.
8 years from now.
Somebody,
The way Kanye trying to sneak in, it could be 20.
Right.
It
Could be the
I would
next
definitely
election.
vote for LeBron over Biden.
I say 26. That's not 4 year
That's-
increments.
Hey,
Yeah,
right.
I was like, what impeachment's happening?
Oh, you are correct.
Get LeBron get LeBron on the ballot. See how many people
My
come out
prediction.
in drones.
Well, he should have
yeah.
been in 2016.
Hey, but make sure y'all
Ready
go
for
vote.
y'all ready for the
this,
shut up and dribbles?
Yeah, man,
Oh
go
yeah, go
November.
vote.
Make sure you are registered, properly in whatever, your state, your county. If you got
Don't let any of these white people mess up your voting chance by not giving you the information you need, or you not having the
Don't
information you
believe
need to vote in the right place
And just so
at the
you
right time.
everybody is aware, don't believe the hype that your vote doesn't matter, because let me tell you something. If your vote didn't matter, they wouldn't be going so hard.
They wouldn't
high
have tried
ballots,
to stop us for getting
stop ballots from coming out
in the first place.
Stop trying to, they're trying to control the mail-in ballots. They're trying to shut down polling stations so you can't go.
You heard it here
So
first from
if
a
you
postal
couldn't-
carrier.
If it didn't matter, they wouldn't be going through all this trouble. I promise you. So your vote
In the red
matters.
states.
Correct.
Your vote still
That's-
matters. Because if it
it
came
still
down to the
matters.
popular vote last time, Hillary would have won. So
Exactly.
don't think, oh, I'm in a red state, I shouldn't vote, because it doesn't
No.
matter. Oh no, it's still gonna matter.
It still matters.
still
So
going to
get
matter.
out there and make your voice heard, because that's how you
Vote
make your
locally,
voice
too.
heard. Oh, yeah, of course.
Locally.
Most
Locally,
definitely.
locally is just as
Jesus
important.
Christ.
That's
More
For
just as
police
important.
reform,
You're
that's
being
most
honest.
important.
Exactly. You want reform? You want police reform? You want things to happen in your state, in your
You
county?
want that weed legal?
Vote for your
Stop putting
mayors, your
these-
governors, your
Stop putting
state
these
senators.
stop putting these white cops from the suburbs in the hood, please. Thank you.
Suburbs. They barely
That's
from
a
there.
whole different
They not
topic for a
there.
whole different day. They've never.
Yeah, that's
they've
a whole
never
nother rabbit
like,
hole.
stopped.
That's it.
Like,
You know,
Jesus.
this is
'Cause
again.
I was about to pull up
this
another
is-
J. Cole lyric. Y'all know I got them
Oh,
little
Lord.
gigs. So
All right, we're not gonna jump into
Don't
that.
Don't do that.
just gonna.
Don't you
But
Yeah, 'cause
it's-
I can't even talk about my rapper when we do that. So stop.
But you know, again, it's a movement, not a moment. Treat each other right. Let's do the right things. Just be good to each other in general. Movement, not a moment. Maybe we can get that on a shirt. We're
I
gonna
talked to Renee about it already.
trademark.
I already talked to Renee about the shirt.
Can we get a
that shit's
movement,
probably
not a
trademarked
moment.
we get
already.
a
Not yet.
Hey, we don't know that. We don't know
We
that.
don't.
$100 a piece.
$100.
What?
And see, this
Back
was
up the
wrong
truck.
with the black community, right?
Oh, the black community right there. It's opportunistic.
Support black businesses.
Back up the truck. We gotta start low. We gotta get people coming in low. Then we
Good thing
can.
this was gonna. Hey, I know we've been on here for like a while. This was supposed to be short, but you know,
Hey, you
That's
know
just a
this is how it
bonus
goes
episode then.
sometimes. Right. You know, this
just
was
turned into a podcast. Honestly.
it did.
Yeah.
Just
Absolutely
throw
did.
it
This
out
was
there.
be a short
Especially
thing.
when
but
C got on. I
this
knew
is-
what time
oh,
it
yeah.
was after C
Yeah,
got on.
exactly.
yeah.
Once that happened, we already knew what this was going to be. But this is what it needed to be. This is what this is all that happens. We've been live now for over an hour and a half, 101 minutes. I don't know how much time that is. It's 101 minutes.
I went 40 minutes, 41 minutes.
All right, mathematics. What?
Don't do that.
But yeah, it is what it is, and that's what needed to happen. So, like, for everybody who dropped in and checked us out, whether it was for a minute, 2 minutes, 40 seconds, to everybody that's going to watch it later, on the YouTube page and everywhere it's going to be posted, just, again, do the right things, right? Because there is a right and a wrong thing here. It's not a matter of opinion. There's shit that's right and there's shit that's just dead wrong.
Be on the right side of history, man.
Correct. Stop with the bull. You know what I'm saying? Cut out the BS and be real with yourself. And everybody that's on the right side of this movement, we appreciate you for being on the right side of things. All right. And everybody who's on the wrong side of things, everybody's entitled to an opinion. But as I mentioned earlier in this podcast,
Oh, my bad. Sorry.
as I mentioned earlier in this same podcast, don't cross the lines, all right? Because crossing the lines will get you exited stage left, because the internet will come for you. Twitter will come
put
for
the
you.
6 coffin men up here. You can edit this later.
Twitter's gonna come
Oh
for
Lord.
you. So that's it. So
By the way,
again,
the song by J. Cole I was referring to as Friends, just in
He-
case you
he
wanted
was
to know.
literally-
Everybody
he
was
wanted
hyping
to-
that up
saying-
as the,
He was trying to-
as the
he was trying
verse
to
of
get
the
He
that
wanted
year.
to get that out
He wanted to
so
get that in there
bad. He
so
couldn't
bad.
help it.
Everyone
He was sweating.
wanted
Look
that
at the
to be the
sweat
verse of
behind
the
his
year
by
so
his
bad.
Let
eyes.
me wipe that sweat away.
bad.
I'm good
He had to
now.
get it out.
Didn't you say that was the verse of the year? Wasn't that you?
Yeah, I'm pretty sure he.
Like it was
I'm
a
pretty-
bunch of J. Cole fans trying to throw that in the verse of the year category.
No, that
Or
was
verse
the
of
song
decade.
of the year. Friends,
Oh, wow,
boy,
this went-
I love that
There
song.
we go.
Wasn't even the best song on his album, but okay. Or the
So,
best verse on his album.
seeing
So
as
we just
how
throw that out.
this has evolved from a hot take and in the moment discussion and evolved into a bigger thing, Dre, appreciate you if you just let everybody know where they can come join the conversation of Sports Gaming Anonymous Circle.
My house.
Trust.
No problem. So if you guys are watching this on YouTube, just go into the description. I'm gonna have everything located in the description, both Instagram, Twitter, the Facebook group, all that stuff. But if you're not watching this on YouTube, follow us on Instagram at Sports Gaming Anonymous. Follow us on Twitter at Sports Games Anon. join the Facebook group titled Sports Gaming Anonymous. We'll be going live on YouTube soon with gaming content. We also stream on our Twitch pages and all that kind of stuff. If you have any questions, just hit us up in the comments on any of our videos, DM us, and we'll get right back to you. We appreciate your support.
Now, 50 subscriber gets to have Stacy.
Wow.
Courtney go unsubscribe at 49 and subscribe back at 50.
I didn't see who it was.
So yes, thank you, Dre. Thank everybody joining the conversation, and Slay Drill Dash. Appreciate y'all for joining us for this very important discussion tonight. So we will catch you guys. Come check out whenever we release the next episode of the Sports Gaming Anonymous podcast and the Flash and Dash podcast. All that stuff coming soon, next episodes. So appreciate y'all joining us. Peace out.
What up, Grayson? I see you back there.